Welcome everyone. My name is Joanna Portela and I'll be your host for today's World of Fiery webinar. This is the last webinar for a series of 3. And before we start, I would like to go with you through some housekeeping rules. First one is that you are all on mute. So if you have any questions or comments during the session, please write them on the Q&A session or on the chat window. Once you send anything through the chat window, please send them to all panelists. And if you experience any sound issues during this session, you can also try dialing in through the numbers that we posted in the chat. You can also find them on the confirmation email you received once you registered. And with that, let's start. Greg.
Thank you, Joanna. Hi, I'm Greg Chumley. I'm an independent analyst who reviews workflow enhancement solutions and best practices. I've reviewed several EFI solutions, such as Fiery Job Flow and Fiery Job Master, so EFI asked me to co-host these webinars to bring in an outside perspective. I encourage you to visit www.printelligence.org to learn more through my blog, product briefings, and organized links to vendors in this space. My co-host today is Ling Wang from EFI. Ling, would you care to introduce yourself?
Sure, Greg. Hi there. Welcome. My name is Ling Wang. I am the product manager for Fiery Makeready product line. And this product line provides imposition as well as digital print job Makeready capabilities for our Fiery customers.
Thanks, Ling. Now, I spend a lot of time studying workflow automation for printers and implants and generally find that what people want is automation from files arriving through prepress to the printer, including selecting media and production presets, and all the way through programming the finisher settings. However, that's often not what they get. For example, web to print usually means web to file folder. Whether jobs come in via the web or through CSRs, there's often a disconnect between reception and prepress and production. Speaking of prepress, that's the other challenge. Many production print workflow solutions stop after prepress. People want them to go all the way to programming the finisher, which is what Fiery Impose and JobFlow deliver. Over the next 45 minutes, we're going to cover difficulties printers and implants often face with production automation, an overview of relevant EFI Fiery solutions, how the solutions extend beyond prepress, the impact this broader definition of workflow automation can bring, and the resources EFI has available to you. Ling, I just gave my perspective on some of what printers and implants are looking for regarding automation. Would you like to give some more specific examples?
Sounds good, Greg. Well, let's look at a scenario where an operator needs to produce a business card job. Well, you got an operator here. He receives the PDF job. He first needs to create a layout in an imposition software and then replicate that layout in an offline finisher's controller software. This process can be time-consuming and error-prone because the two systems work differently for setting up layouts. And since these two systems don't talk to each other, the operator has to calculate all the margins and gutters to make sure the layout can not only be printed correctly, but also finished correctly. And he sets up settings in one system and then convert the settings manually for the other system. And all the while making adjustments through trial and error with test prints.
Well, those are all things which will reduce waste or produce waste and save money fixing them. They also sound like tasks that require well-trained staff. You know, while creativity and mental agility are fine in the design world, most printers want their operators more focused on printing than making layout and impositioning decisions. What's EFI's approach to addressing this?
Yeah, I have to agree to that. I think, we definitely want to eliminate all the time-consuming and duplicated manual steps for operators when preparing a job, from imposition to setting up the final finishing cuts using slitter, cutter, creaser in the end, right? And to do this, we gave Fiery Impose the knowledge of the finishing device. So through the use of, we call it the imposition template, Fiery Impose can quote-unquote talk to the finishing device using a job ID and tell the finisher what cut sequence is required for a job. And this integration workflow can further be automated with the help of Fiery JobFlow Base.
Great. What are some of the benefits your customers see with this integrated solution?
Well, I think our customers often tell us that they love using Fiery Impose because it's easy to use and how much they like the visual feedback in our software interface when creating a job layout. In addition to that, it is easy to access. So if you are familiar with Fiery Command Workstation, you can impose a job right from the job queue. And Fiery Impose is an in-rib solution. So this means that you not only can impose a variable job that really easily, but also this variable job can be processed super fast. And because Fiery Impose is part of the Fiery Makeready family, it works seamlessly with two other products in our lineup, Fiery Compose and Fiery Job Master. Meaning all the imposition and Makeready setup on a job can be done in the same software interface, making it really easy for operators to learn and also apply value-add edits to jobs that really bring in higher business returns. And certainly, Fiery Impose integrates with offline finishers, as we're going to discuss more. And best of all, if you want to automate imposition to speed up production and reduce manual touches on jobs, Fiery Impose is the solution for you because it has templates that can be plugged into all the automation workflow options that Fiery has to offer. And, and talking about automation, Fiery JobFlow Base is a poster child in my mind among Fiery's automation workflow selections. It is a browser-based solution that can automate repetitive job setups to produce ready-to-print jobs. And with Fiery JobFlow Base, you can set up workflow with your preferred order of automation steps. These steps can be to batch and collect jobs, to do PDF conversion, image correction, pre-flighting, to send jobs to desired network locations, to archive jobs for later reuse, as well as sending email during any of these steps for review or for notification purposes. So you can see JobFlow Base has very robust functionalities, and we'll definitely take a closer look at it during our demo.
I get how it all does EM positioning and all that, but I'm really interested in how it ties all the way into finishing. Can you please explain that a little more?
Sure, good question. So if you're familiar with, I think a lot of our customers are familiar with the Fiery Impose's integration with DUPLO DC series in the past couple of years. And with Fiery Command Workstation 6.4, we now have expanded our partnerships to new partners. So now our Fiery Impose integrates with all the major automated slitter, cutter, creaser brands worldwide. These brands include MBM, Plugmatic, Morgana, Uchida, Graphic Wizard, Oshitec, Standard, and Horizon. And Fiery Impose also integrates with MBM and Uchida's Triumph cutters. So to help our customers get started using these integrations, we have also set up integration web pages for each partner brand at EFI.com. So under each web page, you can find the supported finisher model and how-to guides. And each how-to guide package includes pre-made Fiery Impose templates along with step-by-step instructions for a sample job setup. And this is there's also a really easy to follow guide on how to get started with Fiery JobFlow Base.
That's pretty impressive, Ling. Do you think you can come up with an example of a typical job and show us how to automate it?
Yes, definitely. So I find, with the, I like to start with the illustration before we get into a demonstration, because I think when automation usually happens in the background, and we don't necessarily see what the software is actually doing in a black box. So let me show you an illustration on how all the prep steps can be done with just one click. So here we go. Step one, operator drops a new postcard job into a folder. So that's one click. And now, number two, JobFlow base picks up the job, applies the desired print settings, and adds correct barcode and registration marks based on the Fiery Impose template in this workflow. Step three, JobFlow base then sends the job to the selected Fiery. So far, all this is done with one click of mouse. In step four, you can take the printouts and load them in the finisher and hit start. And the finisher then will suck in the papers and scan the barcode on the sheet. And that barcode is what would tell the finisher to make setting adjustments so that the job can be cut and slit correctly and automatically. So with that illustration, we can now go into the demos. I want to show you two things. One, how to impose a business card job using Fiery Impose for a slitter cut or creaser finisher. And the second part is how to automate this setup with a JobFlow-based workflow. So let's switch to our Fiery Command Workstation. So I have a job here. We're going to use this job. It's actually right out of actually NBM's how-to guide on our website. So open up this job in Fiery Impose, as we say that you can do it right from the job queue. Very well integrated experience. And if you're new to Fiery Impose, we certainly have three panels. One is where all the PDF pages are displayed, and then this is where the middle sheet view is where imposition happens. This is the visual feedback, and all the settings are on the right-hand side. So as you change things, you can get visual feedback right away on what you are working on, what the result of imposition is. So before I go into the template, I want to show you where you can actually store the template. So go under Preferences. This is where you can figure out what is the default path, or you can change the path where templates can be stored for your Fiery Impose client. So this is actually pretty straightforward because out of the how-to guide, I already have a template. So I'm going to apply that template for this business card. It's going to be a 24 up. As you see, this template contains information on not just the layout, but also registration mark and barcode. So these are the critical information that tells the finisher how to adjust the blades and how to cut this job. Another thing I want to point out is this knowledge of finisher actually is tied to a thing we call a device profile, and that's available under marks. So if we go to registration marks and barcode, you see the device type is NBM arrow cut, and it's going to tell this job to put registration mark and barcode, along with the the location, the positioning, and the type of these marks that this NBM device will understand. So, and certainly, you can save this job to the queue and process and print it right away. And we're not going to do that because I want to show you how do I automate. So you know now how to print this job, really maybe just a couple of clicks with the template. But let's see how you can do it with just one click. So I'm going to close this job and go to job flow. So I already logged in, and really the only two things I did was my job flow base is I install it. I logged in and I told this instance, what is the file I want to print to. And the nice thing is I already have 4 workflow in this list as an out-of-box experience. So what I want to do is just really just duplicate this and then create a new workflow for myself. So I'm going to call this business card jobs for MBM, my MBM device. I got logged off. Let's do this again. Duplicate this job. The workflow. And what that do is just simply duplicate it, but also I have the freedom to change whatever in there. So right now, I can certainly specify like a hot folder experience with a folder on my desktop. I can leave the PDF conversion in there, or I take it out. And the most important thing I want to really change is to let JobFlow find the template that I have on this client so that it can automate for this job. So this is the exact same template we saw earlier. So we're going to select it and then just save. And we see the output is already by default set up to the hold queue. This is great. So all we need to do now is find our job, which is on our desktop. If I can minimize my window a little bit. Here's that job, and I'm just going to drag it. And it tells me that one job is uploaded. We can go to the so this is the black box I was referring to, right? You don't see very much going on, but the JobFlow base is actually working in the background, taking the job in and going through all the steps. So it's checking, does it need a PDF conversion, and then applying the imposition template, and then send to the hold queue. So now it says jobs completed. So how do we find it? You can certainly go here, or you can just look at it in the Fire Command Workstation job queue. And we see JobFlow send over a job, a 2-page job, and then we can use the preview function to see the result of this imposed job. So everything looks good, identical to the one that we saw using Fire Impose interface. The job is ready to print. So to summarize, I'm going to come back to here. So with Fiery Impose templates from the how-to guides, you can really get started very quickly processing new jobs in a Fiery Impose's user interface and to automate it further with Fiery JobFlow base.
Well, that just using Impose seems pretty easy, and when you add JobFlow in, it becomes really fast. Now, I also know that you've gone even further with DUPLO's finishers. Would you like to show us what you can do with their products?
Sure, Greg. So we have worked with DUPLO for many years, and EFI and DUPLO have built out pre-press to post-press automation for 4 types of finishers, and we're looking certainly to add more to this list. These integrations leverage the advanced workflow automation capabilities in Fiery JobFlow as well as Fiery Impose. So in addition to the DC series slitter cutter creaser that we just talked about, we also integrate with the DPC 400 digital die cutter, UD 310 rotary die cutter, and DDC 810 raised spot UV coder. For this webinar, we will focus on the slitter cutter creaser models. So when it comes to template creation, there are two choices for DUPLO's slitter, cutter, creaser finishers. In the first part of the presentation, we cover the choice of using a template-based workflow. Right? This is where the template is created, and then it can be, is matching set with a template on the DUPLO cutter creaser. So the other choice is through an XML integration. So this choice is currently only available for DUPLO finishers. And this integration is most suitable for jobs with custom layout and the finishing requirements. And you will, first you will create a custom layout in DUPLO's controller software, and then export that layout setting as an XML file. Then you can import that XML file right into Fiery Impose. So through this integration, it can quickly set up settings in Impose to match the DUPLO finisher job settings. And Fiery Impose gives you the ability to soundproof, like the screenshot here, soundproof the finished products with a special preview. From there, you can save the layout in a template for reuse or automation. I have some screenshots here, but we're going to step through them more in detail in a demo. This integration is available for DUPLO DC 746, 646, as well as 618 models. So coming back to a demo, we will look at how you can import a custom layout created in the DUPLO controller finisher and use this layout to create an Impose job in Fiery Impose. Again, I'm going to be using a sample job and a custom layout from our how-to guide. So definitely, in a way, I want to show you how easy to get started. So let's look at the, so let's close up this. So I have a job. You can see the preview. It's definitely not a business card job. It's a coupon sheet. So we will, again, open this job in Fiery Impose. And first thing I want to show is, again, the preference, because this is a feature, because it's only available for DUPLO. Not everybody gonna, can utilize it. So we put in a preference that you can enable for your production. So under here, finisher layout import, I have already checked the box to allow importing of finisher layout files. And to access the XML file or the finisher layout that we talked about from DUPLO device, we simply go to Actions, and then Import Finisher Layout. And I have the XML file here. And really the experience is just like applying a template because, you see the layout is created with the barcode, with the registration mark. One thing I want to point out though, so this is not a template yet. We will save it as a template for later reuse. But it actually shows you, right now the layout is according to this XML file. And you notice all the fields on the under settings pane are grayed out. It doesn't mean that you cannot edit them, but it is a best practice that you don't touch these settings because they are critical to the correctness of this layout. And you don't want to make some changes and then the settings, throw off the settings on your finisher. So another thing I want to show is our control called the Show Finisher Layout Lines. So this is a really cool capability because it's showing you the not just the cut line, but also perforation lines or whatever lines that's available for this layout. So think about, this is a coupon for this month. Well, next month, the designer is going to create a new artwork with different images and maybe, so one way to verify whether that the new artwork can be finished correctly, instead of going through the process of printing it out and trying out on the finisher, you can just self-proof that new artwork. Another way to even see the content more clearly is you can toggle off the artwork and look at the border clearly, and then toggle back the content. So we see everything looks correct with the barcode. This job can be finished with just one click of a button. And then you can certainly save this as a new template if you like. I call it, well, whatever I think this is by default, the XML file name. And now the template is available, and you can automate it using DUPLO or DUPLO base. So to summarize, this integration works really great for custom jobs with advanced finishing options.
Well, that's pretty slick, Ling. I have to believe that this eliminates a lot of bottlenecks, touch points, and waste so that jobs, particularly short run work, become more profitable. What do your customers find to be the biggest value?
Yes. So as you can see, the value of our automated pre-press to post-press workflow is precise and faster throughput for print production. And because the template-driven workflow can configure an offline finisher automatically, you can achieve 70% reduction in job setup with fewer errors and waste. And this workflow is quite easy to set up, as we saw in the demo. It will lead to higher production volume and efficiency for our customers.
Well, that is an excellent perspective, Ling. What you're saying is this is an investment which will continue delivering financial benefits for years. Do you have any resources which could help printers understand the true financial benefits of increased workflow efficiency with Fire Impose and JobFlow? And I guess, for that matter, could you share what other useful resources you have?
Certainly. So to get started, I definitely recommend watching this case study video. It really talks about how this business owner, found value in the Fiery and DUPLO integration, and how, how these applications and solutions are applied to get better business results. And also back to how-to guide. So there's also a video for each how-to guide for the DUPLO integration. So I know some customers like to learn through watching a video, so this is a great way to just get your feet wet. And then after that, there's the PDF version of the how-to guide that you can go through step by step on how to set up with a sample file. And all these resources are certainly on the website. Again, things to help you get started. I think to see the actual ROI on Fiery Impose using your business cost, download the ROI ebook. Make that calculation for yourself. We also want to offer the 30-day trial. That will give you access to Fiery Impose for 30 days free of charge. So you have plenty of time to try out this software. I think similar offerings for JobFlow on the resource page as well. I want to point out that we had a really great webinar recorded here on business improvement ROI through achievable workflow automation for JobFlow. So definitely watch that. Let's see. And if you want to learn more, we have a lot of e-learning courses on our website for both Fiery Impose and Fiery JobFlow at Learning at EFI. One last thing is we have something called the EFI communities. And this is where you can come in and interact with other users of Fiery solutions. And also EFI subject matter experts on these, on this forum. And it's, we have dedicated rooms for Fiery Impose and Fiery JobFlow. So definitely it is free to join. So do come and check out our EFI community.
Well, Ling, it is always fun chatting with you. And I thank you for sharing your time and expertise with all of us. Now, I'd like to turn the webinar controls back over to Joanna for some closing remarks. Oh, and Ling, please do stick around to answer some of the questions I see have come in. Joanna?
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Ling. This has been really great. I would start while you enter your questions, remember, you can do them through the Q&A session or through the chat, sending them to all panelists. I would just like to let you know that by participating today, you already guaranteed a 25% discount on the Fiery Professional certification. This is an e-learning certification prepared by our own Fiery experts for you to develop your skills, enhance your professional development, and transform your print business. We also had the same promotion going on with our last webinars that we had the last 2 weeks. And if you already participated in those, you will also be getting a 25% discount for each webinar. We will be sending an email with your coupon codes in a few days. And as I mentioned, we had already 2 webinars in the last couple of weeks. Last week, we had the Business Improvement ROI through Achievable Workflow Automation. There we show you how to implement workflow automation. It doesn't need to be expensive or hard. And we also show you some real-life examples that you can apply in your business. And 2 weeks ago, we had a webinar called Personalized Direct Marketing Anyone Can Do for Free with Fiery Freeform Create. There we demonstrated how you can easily personalize jobs, promote new services, and show your customers what you can offer to help them boost their business. So if you would like to see the session, if you missed them, you can go to www.efi.com/WOF. And before we start questions, I would just like to let you know that we are recording this session as well. And you will receive an email with a link to this session, to the recording, and also to everything we've mentioned here today, all the resources. So stay tuned to that. Okay, so let's start taking some questions. I see we have some over here. So the first question, how does it know what size to impose and cut it to? Ling, would you like to take it?
Sure. So I think we are talking about, I guess, it's the first ones, right? The first one, we talked about two workflows. One is using a template on Fiery Impose, and then also having a matching template on the finisher device. The second workflow is a custom layout. So for the custom layout, certainly the operator will need to determine what is the output size, what is the sheet size needs to be created, and that needs to be programmed into the DUPLO finisher, and then export that as an XML. For the first workflow, it's a similar process. I think, if you are using the stock templates out of our how-to guide, those are the templates that we collaborated with our finisher manufacturers and distributors and identify what are the common sizes, the product sizes, as well as the sheet sizes for the international paper sizes, as well as for the the American sheet sizes. So that's already predetermined for you to achieve the highest efficiency for commonly produced jobs. But this certainly, you are free to create additional templates for your print production. So in that case, then it's sort of like the second workflow. You need to determine what is the sheet size that's most economic for you to produce for a particular job, and create a template that way.
Thank you. And if there isn't any error message, can you configure the workflow to send you an email notification?
Yes, so that's, I think this question is referring to the DUPLO base and DUPLO. So yes, there is a way to configure and send in notifications so that if there's an error, you can receive an email, for example.
Very good. And does your workflow support JDF or JMF communication?
So that's a very broad question. So we do support, so Fiery in general supports JDF input. Fiery Impose does not support JDF layout output, if that's the question. So I kind of need to get a little bit more detail on what the question is about. My email is ling.wang@efi.com, so feel free to send me a more specific question that I can answer.
Okay. For automation, if a two-sided job was sent via a hot ticket or flow, how can we know that it is properly backing up front to back, crop marks lining up front to back? Would it require a pressman standing by and check XY coordinates and adjusting before release?
So alignment, no. So Fiery Impose takes care of the alignment, right, front and back. We do, and this is a digital imposition solution, so it understands that the duplex is a capability that we must have. So that one is taken care of, but it can happen that some engines can go out of alignment when they print, the front and back registration is off. Fiery Fiery has control, really simple control to allow you to make adjustments to compensate for the out of alignment on an engine. So that's certainly available. So this is so if you have a Fiery or you're interested in a Fiery, I think our OEM, our channel actually, or our field team actually are very knowledgeable on how to get you set up for that type of production. Not an issue, but things that you will run into. I think again, EFI community is another resource. I mean, even if you're not a Fiery customer, you can still join and then look up the answers. Because the community actually has, we document all the question and answer in there from all the questions people asked in the past. So there are a lot of really good information in there. So do check it out.
Thank you, Ling. And are there, or is there any file size limitation as how many pages?
No, not really. There's no page limit. No.
Very good.
Sizes, so sizes is limited. So size is really limited by what engine you're connecting to. So each engine has its, we call it a PPD, but it's really information documenting, okay, what is the maximum sheet size? What are the like the size of the border that you need to have for printing? So all that information is really, we get it directly, and Fiery gets it directly from the engine, and then Fiery Impose leverages that knowledge during the imposition process.
Very good. Yeah, there's another question related to size, but in this case, a large format printing. The question is, as Commit Workstation's aiming also at managing large printing systems, will Impose be finally able to work with custom sheets of any size?
Well, that's a good question. I think for Fiery Commit Workstation, certainly we have you can now use XML Workstation connecting to white format devices as well as the regular cut sheet digital devices. For Fire Impose, we are still making it only available for the cut sheet devices. I would like to, this is something that we are looking into, is expanding the Impose support to support, other devices and maybe custom sizes. So thank you for that question. It's in the consideration, but I don't really have a timeline or commitment for that.
Okay, there's another question that says, we do a lot of postcard with addresses. With the job flow, would you be able to import an Excel file and PDF together and they merge into the impose and then print and not have to prepress and set up individually?
That's a great question. So I think Joanna mentioned there was a webinar on the Freeform Create. So that's a free application where you can merge documents and between an Excel and also a PDF. And it can be plugged into JobFlow and as well as leveraging Fire Impose capability to impose. So that is a available solution.
Let me find another one because we have a few repeated one that we already answered. Can you export an imposition template as an XML file and import on the cutter such as DUPLO?
Import, no. So the XML integration that I talked about is actually is a layout created on the DUPLO finisher. So think about, I think finishing is usually Fire Impose is all about laying out the content on a sheet, and then it doesn't really doesn't give you the definition of like a coupon book, where to perv and or where to fold even. So those definitions are in a finisher device controller interface. So that's why we designed that integration as the operator will still need to go to the DUPLO interface and design that job and then export that, all the layout along with the finishing definition as an XML file. So then the XML file then can be used in Fire Impose to create the layout very quickly.
Yeah, there's another question on the XML method. So the question is, we use impose and hotkeys for more or less 2 months now. We use the XML method, but we noticed that the XML from the DUPLO 646 isn't the exact measurements that we need. The cards are 0.5 millimeters off. The space between is also 0.5 millimeters off. It is not that bad, but for the cuts, but it is for the grease. So this is the fault from the XML. Does DUPLO or impose can change some distance?
So there is, so thank you for that question. So this also came to our attention. So we are working with DUPLO on fixing this issue. There is a workaround. I think if you, so we are definitely going to address this, but I think the good news is there is a workaround. So I think what is the best way? Contact, well, send me an email and then I can point you to the right person. I think definitely the DUPLO sales team is aware of this issue, and then that's where how we heard about it, and we're working with them directly. So you can reach out to your DUPLO rep, or you can reach out to me, and I can point you to the right workaround or the next path forward.
So there's a question about the integration with DUPLO DC 616
Mhm.
that was not showing in your chart?
So DC616 is supported for the first integration where they are, stock the templates that out of box from the how-to guide for commonly produced jobs. 616 is not supported for the XML integration.
Okay. And we print on special paper like A3 wide parchment. Is it possible?
I think it depends on what the question is. Do you have, is that a Fiery-driven press that you're printing on this media? If it can be printed, then as long as the size can fit through the finishing device, then our workflow should work.
Very good. Let me see if I know that we had that already. I think, oh, there's one last one here. Are job flow and workflow capable of the same processes? I'm not sure what they mean by workflow. If you could specify. Yeah, I think, let me have a look. I think I got all of the questions. If you have any questions, please send it to us. We still have a few minutes left. All right, is there anything else you would like to highlight, Ling, before we go?
No, I think, all these questions are great questions. I can tell that you're actually thinking through how to use these workflows for your production environment. So I think really the best way is to, watch if you have a Fiery-driven system, you can certainly try out the how-to guide, just go through the setup process to see the process yourself. Or if you don't have a Fiery system, you can also watch the video, and then the video is a good way to kind of see through what the process is like. And if you have, definitely give a 30-day trial a go if you want to try out our software. I think that's the best way to get your feet wet and just kind of start running some of your customers' job using our workflow and applications. And if you have more questions, I think that's a good way to get in contact with our sales team, Fiery sales team, as well as your local vendors, and they also have analysts on staff, and the analysts are usually EFI. They have expert or professional certification, so they are usually very knowledgeable. And then so then we can help you answer more questions.
Great. Thank you, Ling. Well, I think that was all. Thank you, everyone, for participating today. I will send you an email in a few days with all the resources, so stay tuned. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you for our presenters, Ling and Greg.
Well, thank you, and you did a great job today,
Thank
Ling.
you, everyone. Oh,
thank you, everyone.
Greg. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
And have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great. Bye-bye.